Okay, so this is big. Letitia James just admitted out loud that she did break the law. Also, Andrew Cuomo, who's running for mayor of New York City, is now being investigated by the Department of Justice. And President Trump met with the president of South Africa in the Oval Office, and things got awkward.
As you know, we filed a lawsuit against Donald Trump and his family. We secured $454 million judgment against him, which is on appeal. The case is on appeal. I have no idea when that case will be decided. This investigation into me is nothing more than retribution. It's baseless. It has to do with the fact that on a power of attorney, I mistakenly indicated that I was a state of Virginia, but prior to that, I had indicated to the mortgage broker that, in fact, in bold cap letters, that I am not a resident of Virginia and never will be. And in the mortgage application, I indicated that I would not live in Virginia and I was not a resident. They just took the power of attorney and they're using that as a basis for enforcement for their investigation, when in reality, the power of attorney was never used to determine my eligibility for a mortgage for my niece for a home in the state of Virginia. My niece who has children, and because I'm a bit on, I wanted her to have a home.
Okay, so you heard it there, folks. Letitia James admitting that she did make a mistake. But just 10 seconds before her saying that, she states that the claims against her are baseless. So which one is it exactly? Because if you did make a mistake and it was against the law, the mistake you made, are the claims really baseless? So this first story, we're going to dive into Letitia James just really quickly here. And of course, President Trump did have something to say about her announcement. Take a listen.
Brian, thank you very much. I'd like to get your thoughts on Letitia James. Director Polte, according to him, Letitia James says that the alleged mortgage fraud was simply a mistake. I want to get your thoughts on that. She put down that her father was her husband in order, and this is very similar to, I guess, the false attacks they have on here.
Well, I don't know what it is currently, but Letitia James, who's the Attorney General of New York State, it seemed, I'm not involved in that at all. I know it's being handled by various groups, I guess, but it's major fraud, mortgage documents, and fraudulent everything. I think she said the father was her husband, which she had to have a husband, so she chose her father, and she put it down, and she had didn't she sign in Virginia, yet she said she lived in Virginia, yet she's the New York State Attorney General. She did that for tax reasons, so she could take advantage of taxes. And she had the wrong number of units. She had a much different number, which wouldn't have allowed her to qualify and scam the government. So I don't know. I think she's very bad for New York, but I really don't know too much about it, but I appreciate the question. Thank you very much.
Okay, so the fact that she admitted that she made a mistake out loud, if you can hear what the president is saying, it's really up to Pam Bondi on what will happen in the end, because they are investigating her. But that doesn't mean that she will go to prison or serve any time. I'm of the opinion that she'll probably, create some plea deal. Worst case scenario, the charges will be dropped in the end. And I hope that doesn't happen. But the fact of the matter is she admitted that she broke the law out loud. So I guess what else do you need? But we shall see. Now, this takes us to our next story, where she's not the only Democrat in New York being investigated by the Department of Justice. Andrew Cuomo, who was the governor of New York, who's now running for mayor of New York City, he is now being officially investigated by the Department of Justice. Take a listen.
Breaking overnight, we learned that the Justice Department has opened an investigation into former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo over his testimony to Congress about the pandemic. Cuomo is a top candidate for mayor of New York City. The investigation comes after Justice Department officials ended a corruption prosecution of Eric Adams, the current mayor, and Cuomo's chief rival in the race. Adams has vowed to help the president's immigration crackdown.
This is the now confirmation that the Justice Department is investigating Andrew Cuomo, the former governor of New York. John, it dates back to whenever Cuomo was testifying to Congress on Capitol Hill And Republicans have repeatedly accused him of lying to them because at the time they say that Cuomo was downplaying his state's response when he was governor to the impact of the pandemic, COVID-19, on nursing home patients. That the state health department report early in the pandemic really underestimated significantly nursing home death counts, and that Cuomo, they say, played a role in that and lied to them.
All right, so before I react to this, if you guys have been getting value from our channel in this video in particular, please like, share, and subscribe. If you want to support us further, go to the link in the description below. You can buy us a cup of coffee, and make sure to follow us on Spotify or Apple Podcast. All right, so we really have two questions that need to be answered in regards to this. Number one, is this a legitimate investigation by the Department of Justice? And number two, will he be ultimately convicted? Well, number one's easy. Whether you're on the left or the right, I'm sure you see it one or two ways. If you're on the left, you think this is politically motivated. We're a month out from the New York City mayor primary, and President Trump is trying to interfere in the election. And if you're on the right, you believe that Andrew Cuomo should be legitimately prosecuted because lives were lost under his leadership due to negligence and malpractice. That is an opinion of mine. Now, the second question, will he be ultimately convicted? Probably not. I mean, we'll see, but I don't really put it past anything when it comes to this Department of Justice. That's just me being fair. Now, let's listen to more details about this announcement. Take a look.
The story is particularly interesting because the former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo running for New York City mayor against current Mayor Eric Adams, the same Eric Adams let off the hook when the Justice Department dropped his corruption case just a few months ago. Now, the New York Times first to report that DOJ opened a criminal probe of Cuomo, accusing him of lying to Congress when he testified behind closed doors last summer about his response to the COVID-19 crisis in the Empire State and requiring nursing homes to accept COVID patients from hospitals. We're told the U.S. Attorney's Office in Washington, D.C. opened the investigation about a month ago, and it's unclear where that investigation stands now. The primary in New York City is next month for mayor. The current acting U.S. Attorney, Jeanine Pirro in Washington, D.C., is overseeing the investigation, though it was opened, according to the New York Times, under Ed Martin, the former interim U.S. Attorney in D.C. Now, Cuomo's team pushing back, telling Fox News, quote, "We have never been informed of such a matter, so why would someone leak it now? The answer is obvious. This is lawfare and election interference, plain and simple, something President Trump and his top Department of Justice officials say they are against," end quote. The spokesman went on to say that Mr. Cuomo gave his best recollection about the events from 4 years earlier when he did it last summer and offered to address any follow-ups. The DOJ, though, not commenting on this case, citing an active probe.
Okay, so let's just take a step back and see what's happening here. In both of these investigations with Andrew Cuomo and Letitia James, mainstream media and Democrats will claim that President Trump is weaponizing the Department of Justice. But there's only one problem with that complaint. Letitia James just admitted out loud that she did commit a crime. And Andrew Cuomo, Republicans believe he lied under oath. That does warrant an investigation. And the brutal truth here, guys, if you don't believe that when you do something bad against the president of the United States, no matter if the president is a Democrat or a Republican, that they're not going to come for you in some way, shape, or form, you are highly naive. Highly. Now, let's hear how CNN is spinning this story. Take a listen.
What do you make of the timing of this announcement?
The timing is suspect at best. Now, I want to be clear. If someone has engaged in wrongdoing, of course, the Justice Department ought to investigate them and get to the bottom of it. And frankly, that includes perjury. If a senior public official did lie about it, of course he should be investigated. Do we have any reason to believe that the administration, based on how they've acted thus far for these months that they've been in power, have not been seeking to target and investigate political enemies? And it just sort of keeps happening with an alarming degree of consistency that you just have to question the timing of the announcement.
All right, so this story is about to get interesting, all right? But before we get there, please listen to this message from today's sponsor. Debt doesn't just appear, it builds, it grows little by little. It comes from credit cards, car loans, medical bills, and suddenly you're feeling overwhelmed. But you're not stuck, because my friends at American Financing can help you, just like they do the thousands of homeowners every day, use their home equity to pay down high interest debt. And they do that by rolling all these payments into one affordable monthly payment. You can save almost on average $800 a month. And get this, it only takes 10 minutes to get started with no upfront fees, and you're going to be able to work with a salary-based mortgage consultant, so there's no pressure. Just honest advice. To get started, all you have to do is call 1-866-890-9392. That's 866-890-9392. Or visit AmericanFinancing.net/Devori or click the link in the description below.
Lisa, what are these allegations that they're now trying to bring against Andrew Cuomo? And is there any there?
The allegations, Katie, as I understand it, is that when Andrew Cuomo testified before Congress about the nursing home scandal, that he did not offer truthful testimony about what had gone on in New York during that time. I also want to point out that the members of Congress in the Republican Party who took issue with Andrew Cuomo during those hearings are not the only people who took issue with the veracity of Andrew Cuomo's statements. The Attorney General of the state of New York, herself a Democrat, Letitia James, issued a whole report about the undercounting of nursing home deaths and said it was imperative that we get to the bottom of why residents in New York of nursing homes, this is her quote, unnecessarily suffered at such an alarming rate. But my understanding is that any investigation here, any charges that result from that investigation, all stem from whether or not Andrew Cuomo was lying to Congress when he gave that testimony.
Okay, so what do you guys think about that? The fact that Letitia James on the record said that she wants to get to the bottom of what happened. And quite frankly, I don't believe anything will happen, my personal opinion, because Dr. Fauci is still a free man, okay? I think you guys know where I'm going with that. Now let's go to our next story, which is really awkward if you ask me. The South African president met with President Trump in the Oval Office earlier today, and two things happened. Number one, President Trump confronted the South African president with video footage of the president stating that they want to commit genocide against white people. And then number two, the media doing what they do best, asking President Trump stupid questions. Now let's start with the questions first. Here we are, a reporter asking President Trump about the $400 million plane from Qatar. Take a listen.
Mr. President, the Pentagon announced that it would be accepting a Qatari jet to be used as Air Force One. Perhaps you are talking about.
Can we have a South African question? Mr. President,
the Pentagon's going first.
What does this have to do with the Qatari jet? They're giving the United States Air Force a jet, okay? And it's a great thing. We're talking about a lot of other things. It's NBC trying to get off the subject of what you just saw. You are a real, you're a terrible reporter. Number one, you don't have what it takes to be a reporter. You're not smart enough. But for you to go into a subject about a jet that was given to the United States Air Force, which is a very nice thing, they also gave $5.1 trillion worth of investment in addition to the jet. Go back. You ought to go back to your studio at NBC because Brian Roberts and the people that run that place, they ought to be investigated. They are so terrible the way you run that network, and you're a disgrace. No more questions from me. Go ahead.
Now let's understand why the South African president is there. According to him, he's there to negotiate trade and build a stronger relationship with America. And President Trump, he's there to confront the president in regards to the claims coming out of South Africa that there is a genocide taking place. And that they need to do something about it and stop it, right? I mean, that's just the bottom line to it. Now, here is the president confronting him with video footage of his claims. Take a look.
Mr. President, I must say that we have, wait. We have thousands of stories talking about it. Sure. And we have documentaries, we have news stories, and that. Is Natalie here, somebody here to turn that? I could show you a couple of things, and I have to, it has to be responded to. Yeah, sure. Let me see the articles, please, if you would. And turn the lights down. Turn the lights down and just put this on. It's right behind you. Johan.
There's nothing this parliament can do. With or without you, people are going to occupy land. We require no permission from you, from the president, from no one. We don't care. We can do whatever you want to do. Who are you to tell us whether we can occupy land or not? We are going to occupy land. South Africa occupy land. That's who we are. So whatever you want to do, we can withdraw my membership from this useless parliament. Yes, honorable member. Must never be scared to kill a revolution.
Now, of course, you know what the media did as a response? They started posting things like this. President Trump and South African president engage in a back and forth at the White House over Trump's unfounded claims of, quote, genocide against white South African farmers. And of course, I said what? Here we go, unfounded claims. Now, it's one thing to say you disagree with the story and you don't believe a genocide is taking place because you don't agree with the definition that the White House is using. Fine. That's your own prerogative, of course. But what you can't say is that white farmers are not being discriminated against, okay? That's what you can't say. So if the White House claims that that's their reasoning for allowing refugees from South Africa to come to America, you can't argue against that either. However, you know what the media is trying to do? They're trying to say, well, if you're going to let South Africans over here, why are you not allowing people from Afghanistan? Take a listen.
Can you explain to Americans why it's appropriate to welcome white Afrikaners here when other refugees like Afghans, Venezuelans, Haitians have all had their protected status revoked?
Well, this is a group, NBC, that is truly fake news. They ask a lot of questions in a very pointed way. They're not questions, they're statements. We've had tremendous complaints about Africa, about other countries too, from people. They say there's a lot of bad things going on in Africa, and that's what we're going to be discussing today. When you say we don't take others, all you have to do is take a look at the southern border. We let 21 million people come through our border, totally unchecked, totally unvetted. They came from all over the world. In many cases, they're criminals. They come from prisons. They come from mental institutions. They come from street gangs. They're drug dealers. So don't say that we didn't take them. We take them. We're trying to get them out as fast as we can.
Now, that's what President Trump had to say. And of course, what did CNN publish? Breaking news. President Trump pushes unsubstantiated claims of white genocide in South Africa during tense White House meeting with the nation's president. Now, read this caption with me here. The South African Minister of Agriculture confirmed in the Oval Office today that white farmers are being killed and that it's a serious problem. Yet, CNN decided to put this out anyway. And so let me show you the clip of the Minister of Agriculture and what he said. Take a listen.
Mr. President, thank you for welcoming us to the White House. I would say we have a rural safety problem in South Africa, and I don't think anyone wants to candy coat that. And it requires a lot of effort to get on top of it. It's going to require more policing resources. It's going to require a different strategy to be able to deal with it. But certainly the majority of South Africa's commercial and smallholder farmers really do want to stay in South Africa and make it work. And I've just come from the largest agricultural show in the Southern Hemisphere with organized agriculture and farmers, and the majority of them want to stay. But they too there have a memorial to those who've died as a result of farm attacks. And as the Minister of Agriculture, it is something that I'm particularly exercised with my colleagues at police and my colleagues in the justice cluster to start making farm attacks and stock theft a priority crime.
Okay, so here's what I understand about what he said. That this is indeed a problem. And right now, it's not a number one priority for the justice system to address it in that country. And number three, he also, I guess, suggested that it's happening to everybody. So I don't care if it's happening to everybody or it's only happening to white people in South Africa. The fact of the matter is people who own their farms are being murdered or their farms are being taken away from them. Those things are both true. Now, to what degree is up for debate, okay? And we could debate that till the cows come home, obviously. But you cannot sit here and say that it's not happening, okay?
I grew up in an area in South Africa that is a farmland area, Polokwane. Yeah. And there is some issues up there, obviously. My dad was a property developer as well as a part-time farmer. And yeah, some of these buddy farmers got killed. The farm is still going. My brothers run it, but it's a constant battle with farms they're trying to burn the farms down to chase you away. So it is a concern to try and make a living as a farmer. And at the end of the day, without farmers, there's no food on the plate.
So the bottom line and how I see all of this is very clear. Number one, there are people who own farms in South Africa or work on them, and they either have been murdered, crimes have been committed against them, or they have been suffering under intimidation. Now, some of these farmers are absolutely white, no question. And some farmers are black as well. Both are true. So to sit there and say, Devori, why would you allow President Trump to say that this is a white genocide? I don't allow the president of the United States to do anything. I don't control him. What are you talking about? I just report on the news. You make up your own mind. You don't have to agree with me. Now, the reason why I see it this way is is because I want you to pay attention to what a reporter out of South Africa had to say about this. And I think you're going to find it really interesting here. Take a listen.
After 15 years reporting in South Africa, I found now evidence. We've looked at it. Again, South Africa does not release crime statistics by race, but they do release the number of farm murders. And we looked into it from April to December 2024. There were 36 farm murders. Only 7 of them were farmers. So the other 29 were likely other black or colored workers in those farms.
Okay, so let's just shoot it to you straight. This is happening as far as President Trump inviting the South African president to the Oval Office and debating this issue because of Elon Musk. You may disagree with that. You may not like it, but that is a part of politics. They take care of their own, no question. It's the same thing that happened under President Biden. What was his last action when he walked out the door? He pardoned his entire family. Okay? So let's not get our panties in a bunch in regards to this. Now, the matter at hand is very simple. Red flag number 1, they don't even track crime statistics by race. And red flag number 2, the crime that was reported in the name of a farm murder, the guy suggested it not only happened to white people, but also happened to black people. So the bottom line is what? It is happening. To what degree is up for debate. So speaking of that, let's get your opinion in the comment section below. Let's just start with the most dramatic one here. Do you believe President Trump is doing the right thing here by welcoming white South Africans as refugees into our country? Or do you disagree with him doing that? If so, let me know why in the comment section below. Also, what do you think of Letitia James admitting out loud that she did break the law and then saying on the record that she wants to get to the bottom of what Andrew Cuomo did under his leadership during COVID? And now that the Department of Justice is investigating Andrew, he believes it's politically motivated. Let me know your thoughts about all these stories in the comment section below. Now, yesterday, the Democrat Congresswoman McIver went on to CNN and claimed she's a victim after the Department of Justice has slapped her with federal charges for assaulting an ICE officer. Also, things got heated on Capitol Hill between the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, and Senator Hollen. If you miss out on those stories, all you have to do is click on that video because it's coming up right now.